Hi, my name is Abhirambika and I teach sustainable living. So, what do you mean by sustainable living? And is there something that we need to learn in it? Yes, there is a lot. And we teach young children aged between 5 and 12. So, between 5 and 12 years, is there a need to learn life skills? Is there a need for them to learn about life, or only academics would be sufficient? Yes, that's a big question to be answered. Definitely, they need to learn because that's the formative age. And in the formative age, if we are able to give them the right inputs, that's the base for their life. So, what we do in Genius Star, the program is called Genius Star, and what we teach here is the connect between the body, mind, and self. And how do we connect this? How do we become a genius? So, the base for the whole thing is the body, mind, and self connect. And we do this through mindfulness. We teach them how to silence their mind. And for young kids, you'll be wondering, they're so active and they're hyperactive in a lot of terminology like how people use. But yes, being active or hyperactive, they can still silence their mind. It all comes out of practice, and we give them the right practice to silence and focus on the right thoughts. Geniuses are born and they're not made. But if you actually look at it, geniuses, yes, there are a lot of them who are born genetically. While they are there, there is also a set of geniuses who are made because there are certain cognitive skills or a process, we call it, through which we can generate genius. Even you and me, both of us can become genius if we use the right skills and focus on the right items. So, how do we teach this for children? There are a lot of traits which a genius follows. If you look at very important traits of a genius, we could say concentration, because that's the first main skill that any genius would apply. So, for concentration, generally among kids aged between this 5 and 12, whom we deal with, concentration is a very important factor, because for any aspect, any activity, or even for studying, concentration is very important for a child. But most of us as parents will notice that the child can sit together for 5 minutes or 10 minutes in one particular activity. So if a child is sitting in a class where the teacher is taking class for 40 minutes, how does the child concentrate? How does the child comprehend and understand whatever the teacher is teaching? So in probably a 7 to 8 hour of schooling, what does the child take back home? How does the child concentrate? That's a very important question, and that is the base for becoming a genius. The second very important or a critical point would be problem solving skills. So, all of us will have this, irrespective of a child or an adult. Problem solving is an essential skill. And when we talk about problem solving, we all think that there is somebody external would come and give us solutions, or we have the problem solving capability within us. I would say we all have the problem solving capability within us, and it is a process through which we understand our intuitions and we start working towards them. So problem solving for kids, is it important? Do they really solve any problems? Yes, they do. They do have a lot of conflicts in their head which goes on. There is a lot of issues that even the kids at their level they face, and if they are not able to solve it at the right way or in the right method, then they start expressing, or they start having fear. They start feeling that they're not successful. So the problem solving capability, or the task of solving an issue, is a very key factor. So third one I would say is open-minded thinking, or thinking out of the box. So if you look at any genius, Einstein or anybody, would never have thought in a normal track, or they would have thought something different. They would have assumed themselves, for example, as a planet or a plant or whatever. And that is how they understand how the plant would feel, or how the plant would need some inputs or different ways. So that's how a genius generally thinks. So they are not constrained by logic, or they are not constrained by inputs from the environment. They think differently, they think at that moment, and they relate. How do they relate? They relate to all the knowledge accumulation that they do. For example, something that is learnt in biology could be related to physics. They will be able to form that link, and they will be able to create a chain around that. And that's how a genius generally thinks. So that different thinking creates a genius. They are always questioning, they are always inquisitive about what, why, how, and that's how their knowledge level grows, and that is how they become a genius. And it is not necessarily that it has to be only in science, or it has to be in only one particular field. Geniuses can be there in across any field. So how do we understand what's that particular field in which my child will become a genius? That's the bigger question to answer. And that, unless and until enough and more time is spent individually with the child, you will never be able to understand. Not just you, neither the child can understand that they have a particular skill, and that skill, along with different type of grooming, they can turn out to become a genius and excel in that particular field.